Hey, everybody! Guess who it is? It's your favorite, the international glamour puss of all media, Esther Goldberg, and what a fun show we have lined up today. Two of my dear, dear friends. Actually, well, I had to bribe them to come on, but they're two of the funniest people in show business. The legendary, the fabulous, the jokester of all jokesters. Say hello to Bruce Vilanch. Hey, Bruce.
Hello. How are you? Look, I wore your spiritual animal, Endora.
All right, our other fabulous guest, and they're very, very good friends. She is one of the funniest ladies in show business, and she's going to tell you what her favorite award is in just a moment. Would you please welcome the fabulous Shelly Goldstein?
Hello. I need that Endora shirt. You must tell me how I get the Endora shirt.
You get the Endora. I love that.
The Endora of this?
It gives me endorphins.
Glenn Hansen. It's his headline T-shirts.
Headline T-shirt. How are you both?
I'm carrying on. It's been a year without pants.
Exactly.
I've been sitting here at the computer, and if I don't stand up and do a Jeffrey Toobin, we're okay.
Okay.
Exactly.
I was like, you met my twin sister last year during the pandemic. Remember the one that sells dildos? You were on that show, Bruce. Remember?
On which? On who?
My crazy sister with the dark black hair looked just like me. She has that Serena thing. You came on and did the show, and we were talking about dildos and vibrators. Crazy. Hey,
that's my table talk.
These were a few of my favorite things. Yes.
So let me ask. So Shelly, Bruce has been pantsless for a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
What about yourself? What did you do during pandemic?
I'm in my jammies. I've not been out of jammies for a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I won't do a Jeffrey Toobin, but let's just say that beneath me, I have extra storage space if I'm not wearing it.
You know what makes me laugh?
Exactly. We could have said the Bentley, as the joke goes.
What makes me laugh is I feel like this is one of the shows where I'll just sit back, ask a question, because I watch Bruce's face and then I watch your face when you all are talking and the little minds are going 150 miles an hour.
No, I've been doing a lot of shows, cabaret things, through the Zoom and the StreamYard. But what's great is it takes half the time to get ready because I only have to look good from the waist up.
Right.
And singing in a gown and slippers is brilliant. I'm never wearing heels again.
So look at that, Bruce's breast. There we are with.
That's very dark in my man cave.
It's okay.
I lighten it up.
I told Shelly I bought this new camera.
No, it's not.
It's okay. I bought this new camera. You all should get it. It's called the Logitech 4K. It's cheap. It's like $159. And it is freaking unbelievable. I hardly have any lights, only 7. But it's amazing. It is amazing. You need to, it's the best investment you'll make since you do this, or since you guys are doing this a lot. Because Bruce, you've been spending pandemic time doing lots of podcasts.
I've been doing a lot of podcasts because there was no live performance. So that was how, I could kind of work that muscle. And also I'm writing a book and so about my illustrious non-career. And as a result, they asked questions and I would remember things that I'd forgotten that I knew.
Right.
So it's a very handy tool for that. Now, as a publisher points out, you have to write the thing.
Oh, so
not enough to recall.
Is there a title yet?
No. Well, it's how I wrote the worst television shows in history and lived. That's the idea. And especially with ones that they always ask me about, the Star Wars Holiday Special and the Brady Bunch Variety Hour and the Paul Lynde Halloween Special and a lot of award shows. But I don't know. I'll come up with some kind of a title that, it's like the last thing. It's either the first thing or the last thing.
But the point is, you've written the worst television shows of all time and lived, and you've written the best television shows of all time and flourished.
A couple of those. Thank you. A couple of those.
You have written everything for everybody. And Dora, I love you.
I do too. Oh my God!
Thank you.
Everybody's loving.
I have, but they already made a documentary about it, 20 years ago. called Get Bruce, which
Bruce.
was used by Harvey Weinstein, who never laid a hand on me.
Harvey never did that, I swear.
I know. Now that's Harvey Firestein. There's a frequent bone of confusion.
Oh, Harvey. I was sorry. I'm sorry. I'm it's the
Emphasis on bone. Yes.
You know, when I was doing Hairspray, like in 2003, and I was on the road, I was interviewed by the drama critic in Cincinnati. She said, and this was written by Harvey Firestein. I said, yes. And she said, that's it. And he was in it originally. I said, yes. That's amazing. How does he have time to do all that and run a movie studio?
Oh my God.
I said, I'm afraid you've made an error. You're thinking of Michael Feinstein.
That's
and she went, oh yes. Change the subject entirely.
You know, a lot of people. There's a lot of younger people who have come of age since you did the Ed. And when was Edna? 2000 what? 2000.
2004, 3, 4, and 5. I was 2 years actually, but it started.
You know what I found? You know what I found this morning?
Lice.
No. I got to show you. I found video of you as Edna with Ryan Seacrest.
Oh, let's see.
You want to see it?
Can't stop my happiness 'cause I like the way I am. And you just can't stop my
Matthew Morrison.
And if you don't like the way I am, well, I just don't give a damn.
Crossfire.
Move.
Hello.
There's more.
World's oldest living harlot.
Have to move. Oh, wait. Watch what happens. Hold on. Just watch.
That's great. Thanks, guys.
Hold on.
Oh, wow. See the cast of Hairspray at the Pantages Theater here in Los Angeles through September 4th. Can I pluck the gray hair from your chest, Bruce? We'll be right back. Come here. Have you seen that?
Is that hysterical? I watched when I found that this morning, and I saw Ryan come up and pluck your chest.
I forgot that part. We had the same agent, so we'd had fellowship previously. But I just like to apologize. That was a track that we couldn't hear.
Are you serious?
So so my lip syncing is even off because I had no idea where we actually were in the song, and I was out of the corner of my eye looking at the choreography, realizing, oh, that's what we're doing, and that's not what it looked like on stage. But the spirit really ruled the day. That was Matthew Morrison in white,
Right.
Marissa Gravinoker as Tracy, and Charlotte Crossley, oldest living harlot, as Motormouth Maybelle, and a distinguished company of people who've gone on to be in every other show on Broadway. They're amazing.
Fabulous cast. I saw, as I'm looking at it now, because I saw Harvey on Broadway and I saw you in LA, and you were brilliant.
Yeah, thank you.
But looking at you in the red dress, and you're channeling Sophie.
Well, sort of Sophie Tucker, yeah, actually. I mean, when I first put, not the dress on, but I first put the makeup on, I looked like my Aunt Pauline. It was terrifying to everyone. They were all still alive, and it was like, it shook them to their core. But But yeah, there's a bit of Sophie Tucker in that, certainly, because she had the great chest hairs. I'd like to also point out.
And she sold them after the show, and
That was
it's
well known.
Oh my God, we got so many people. Eileen Graff says, "Hello, gang." She misses everybody,
Oh,
and everybody
Hi.
They said you look good in red, Bruce.
you do.
Yeah, everybody does, but I mean, it's catchy. William Ivy Long, brilliant costume designer.
Let me ask a question. You two are very good friends, and I watch your rapport back and forth. What is that? What the hell is
That was
doing?
the dog farting. The 15-year-old pug.
And aren't they mine's 15?
That's what she likes.
Yes. Champers farts, and it will clear. I mean, the paint starts to ripple on the wall. It's something about when they get that old. But back to you two. I watch the two of you back and forth when you put posts on, on Facebook and stuff, and you always make funny remarks on each other. But I can always tell there's a friendship there, and I want to know, how did you go? What's the story? How did you meet?
Well, our friendship is thanks to a wonderful, wonderful man who was a mentor of mine back in Chicago named Aaron Gold. And he was kind of, I don't know, like the Army Archer of Chicago, if you will. Very, very dear friend.
Winchell, they had columnists back then. They don't have them anymore.
Yeah, but
because there's no media like that.
And when I was moving out here to work for Gary Marshall, Aaron called me into his office at the Chicago Tribune, and it was truly like being summoned before the Queen in every sense of the word. And he said, I'll never forget, he said, when you go out there, he goes, "You're a very nice girl. They are going to try to eat you alive." And goes, "There's someone I want you to meet. His name is Bruce Vilanch. You must know him." And one of the first things I did when I moved here was see you, my darling, at the Gardenia. And we met.
That was a fixture.
Yes, indeed. And that was many years before I started performing there. And then right around the time I started performing, I remember you and I did a show together at a big charity event at Howard Bragman's. And I remember how excited I was because I got to open up for Bruce Vilanch, and really how many I met, It's
and
just,
you got to rephrase that.
That's just not something women do, but I was one. And so, I mean, I adore this man. He's the brightest, smartest, funniest,
and generous.
Generous. That's delightful.
Yes, very, very. You were very giving with your time,
like you can't believe.
So are you writing any new songs lately, Miss Shelley? Because I know you've written some very, very funny parodies.
Thank you. People say, "Why do you write parodies?" Because I don't write music. So why not collaborate with Carole King and Jerry Herman and Stephen Sondheim? Their lawyers don't have to know. I recently did something called "We Need to Get Past COVID," which was, I wanted to do just a nice upbeat Jerry Herman kind of thing. I'm always writing stuff. I've been writing a lot of television stuff during the zombie apocalypse that we've been living through.
You did that one song. There's a song I found of yours that you did a few years ago about from Hamilton that you did the parody on. Have you seen that, Bruce? Her parody from Hamilton?
Have I seen it? I don't think I have.
Well, we're gonna play it because I'm gonna use it in tomorrow's show. We're doing a show tomorrow, Politics and Pride, with a bunch of people from Washington D.C. And I saw it this morning. I went, down. You wrote it then. It's still good. And I hear if people.
Well, I wrote it before this recent election,
right? Right.
Because it was, we were one razor thin hair away from fascism, and I was going nuts. So I poured everything. It was the first time I actually did a song parody that had a soup song of production value.
Well, let's take a look at it. This is your parody. It's from the song. What was the song in Hamilton? It is.
You'll be back.
Okay, let's take a look.
Okay.
You say the number of votes won't determine when you walk away. Your view count will not count. If it says you will lose, sure you'll scream. You famously have a fixation to threaten attacks, but whatever your scheme, the day of the inauguration, you'll have to face facts. You'll be gone, can't ignore when Bill Barr's disbarred can't bar the door. While you rant, scream to Fox, they will pack your things and change the locks. Stocks will rise as you crash. You'll be out so fast you'll get whiplash. No more constant mayhem, and no longer will the USA serve as your private ATM. Dun 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 dun. There won't be campaign rallies where disciples swoon. You're done with fuzzy valentines from Kim Jong-un. You think it's entertaining, the pain your reign is reigning, the infinite complaining, disdaining and profaning, the hating, the baiting, dictating that you're instigating. You'll be gone, no more plague. They'll be waiting for you at The Hague. No more racist red meat in the tweets you bleat as you excrete. Ex-commander-in-chief. One last time they'll play Hail to the Thief. And while we decompress, New York State and Andrew Cuomo will be phoning up the IRS. Gonga gong gong gong, gonga 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 gong. Everybody, gonga gong, gonga 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 gong gong gong. 'Cause you gotta vote, ba 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 bo 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 bo. Then they will be gone.
There you go.
Wow.
Oops, I saw-
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
That dress always makes me feel like Dainty June.
Exactly right.
But-
Sparklers. Very good. I did watch that when it came out. I forgot.
It was-
before the election?
Yeah, I did it. I wrote that in like August, and I got the video done by September. So it was about 2 months before the election.
Wow. And it's so timely. It's back again because the idiot
Yeah.
keeps coming back. I swear. So, Bruce, do you plan with the pandemic sort of maskless thing going on right now? Do you plan on going back out on the road anytime soon?
Not that soon. I'm going to be in November in Fort Lauderdale. I mean, I have no particular urge to go back out to a room full of half-empty room full of people with masks, and you know, so it will build. I think. Back. I mean, fortunately, it's not like a thing I have to do. And I mean, you know, June's a big month for a gay icon, but there's nothing happening really. So.
Oh, but I mean,
I'm biding my time, you know, and being a writer and doing podcasts.
well, don't you have a book to finish?
I do. I have a number of things to finish.
You have a deadline when it has to be done?
It's like, yes. What do you give a shit?
I want to read it.
Oh, that. Well, okay.
Oh God, we've really hit the watermark here this afternoon. I'm just looking I got spammed in the comment room. Want to become famous? Buy followers. I'm like, who the hell are these people? How do they find us?
Oh, I just found all the
Did you
comments.
see that?
There were comments here. Hello.
Oh yeah, there's comments. What happens is we don't see all of the comments because right now we're broadcasting to about 30,000, which is the Politics is a Drag people, the YouTube, the Esther page, the Michael page, the Paul Lynn page. So I'm able to. I know he's here.
That's the page.
It's like, right. I'm channeling Paul, but yeah, we're on all the different platforms. So all these different people, they're not all in the same comment room. So I see that later, which is kind of fun. But it just. Wait a minute. Somebody said Bruce wrote 23. Hold on. I forgot I can do this. Bruce wrote 23 TV shows for Donnie Marie, who remember him as the first person in the history of the Mormon Church of Yom Kippur.
That's from my act, actually. But
speaking of your act,
never mind. Yeah,
what?
It's a slight variation on two different things, but it's okay.
Oh, share. Tell us.
No. I wrote more than 23 shows for Donnie Marie, I think. But I wrote 23 Oscar shows, but in any event, that's a joke I've been doing for a long time. It's true.
Oh, how fun! One of the jokes that you do, which is I love the fact that there's no censor, and so I listen to this joke and I still crack up every time I hear it, and it's the one about cats.
Well, it's a performance piece.
It's a performance piece.
It's a performance piece, and it's on YouTube. And I used to think,
I've got it.
I can't do it anymore because it's on YouTube and everybody can see it. And then I would go out and I would do a show, and they would say, "Do the cat joke." You know,
oh my God!
I called Bette Midler, my friend and my employer for 50 years, and I said, "Now I know what it's like if you don't do the rose." You know, I mean, but we always knew. I mean, there were like 5 numbers that she has to do in every show because they're the ones that they will be mortally offended if she doesn't do them. And I thought, my God, now I've got a hit. I'm like a singer with a hit. I can come out with a cat joke.
And I was so happy because you know what I did? I downloaded it today so we could play it here on the show.
Oh my God, please don't make me.
Yes, there we go.
A sadist.
I was much heavier.
A masochist. A pyromaniac. A zoophiliac. A serial killer. And a necrophiliac are having tea. It could happen. And the sadist says, "Let's find a cat and torture it." And the pyromaniac says, "Let's find a cat, torture it, set fire to it." And the zoophiliac says, "Let's find a cat, torture it, set fire to it, and fuck it." And the serial killer says, "Let's find a cat, torture it, set fire to it, fuck it, and kill it." And the necrophiliac says, "Let's find a cat, torture it, set fire to it, fuck it, kill it, and fuck it again." And the masochist says, "Meow."
That was
wow. That was right after I had been flown in a Macy's parade as the Pamela Anderson balloon. I taught the little children. I lost 100 pounds after that. I found some of them, but he's a funny fat guy. I had no idea.
Bruce, that joke is constructed like the Sphinx. It is just perfect construction.
And I could still remember it then. Now I have to remind myself how it goes. There were several variations, you know. I would bring in different pathologies as I.
Well, it was very difficult to find pieces of your act online because you've done something, because I could not find a lot of any of the shows, but I found this piece and I just said, and it was actually in good it was good resolution, so I said I got to put it on. And
I think that's from Andrea Meyerson's movie, her documentary about funny gay males. I forget what it's called. It was just on again.
Right.
We did it like 10 years ago.
Wow.
Or more, actually, because I was really heavy. And Bob Smith was alive. He was in it too. But there are a couple I did. I never actually did like a whole video of my show. I never wanted to do that. But I did a Showtime special that I hosted of gay comedians, and a couple of bootleg things that like that or that show up. But that's the best because it was actually filmed.
Wow.
That was long-winded.
Yes, but it was, and you did it all in one breath too. That was great.
Amazing what I can do in one breath.
There's rumors. I've heard about the cruises.
Where's my parade?
Right. I did find one video of you on a cruise, and it was the resolution was pretty crappy, so I didn't.
I think they do that. On ships they record the shows, and then you can watch them on the TV in your stateroom for 24 hours.
Right.
And then they erase allegedly those tapes, and the next night's shows are available. So that it may have been one of those that slipped through the cracks.
Have you two ever performed on stage together?
Well,
I meant
I think we've been in shows, but we've been on benefits together, but we haven't actually done anything.
yes,
Have
we haven't.
Together?
Actually, when I do my next cabaret show, there's something I want to do with you.
Great. I'm in.
But
I'm in.
I mean, we've done a lot of those sort of shows where there's lots of people.
right.
Yeah, we're like I'm the comedy star of the Catalina Jazz Club, and I've only done benefits. And they like to hear people laughing, so they brought Leslie Jordan, and he's the only other comedian they've had who's not like a music act.
Boy, is he
they haven't even had me. They've only had me because I MC these benefits. But I love that room. It's a great room, and I hope it comes back.
Oh yeah, I love working there.
Yeah, it's fun. I saw the last time I was there, shows you how long it's been since I've been there. I saw Joan Rivers at the Catalina.
Wow.
Her last shows when she was
Catalina on
on Sunset. She was like I was there. I went with Del Shores and Ann Walker, and we all went together to see the show. And I think it was like one of the last performances that she did in that venue. But hilarious! It's a great place. I mean, a lot of places aren't opening. But is the Gardenia coming back, you think?
I don't know. I haven't really spoken since Tom Rolla died. It's been a few years. I haven't actually. I don't even think I've been in to see anybody. But
I'm sure it will come back. And Catalina's been raising money throughout.
Yeah, they
have a go fuck me. What is that called? The kickstart my ass, whatever it is. They've got one of them happening.
Sorry. Yes.
Bruce, I was looking at one of the bios that they had on you, and I was reading it from where is it from? It was from the movie. It was on your website, and from Get Bruce. And I did not know. It says, known for his eclectic eyewear and collection of unique T-shirts, he began as a child model for Lane Bryant.
Yeah, I was a charming chub.
Really?
Lane Bryant, for those of you out there who don't know, Lane Bryant was a store for the forgotten woman. This was before there was plus size. They were just fat broads. And if you were a fat broad, you had to go to Lane Bryant. That was the high end. It was not Dress Barn. This was like high end stuff.
Couture.
But it was and couture, and it was all designed for a larger body. And I guess they ran out of fat women because they decided to have a line of fat children. And I was one of them. I was a charming chub, and I became a stylish stout, and then I became a husky, and my career ended because I was neither man nor boy.
There was the cute picture of you with your little yarmulke and shawl. It's just adorable, right next to that.
Yeah, right. That was my bar mitzvah by Lane Bryant.
It was. That's right next to the Lane Bryant.
I was in ads with Carol Lindley, who was she was the thin Gentile. She was the thin shiksa that your Jewish boy would marry if he was in Lane Bryant. And this was the reverse of aspirational advertising.
The Carol Lindley, like from the Poseidon Adventure.
The Carol Lindley. She was very young. I mean, this was a long time. She then went on to do a play called Blue Denim, which was a hit on Broadway and became a movie. And I think that was actually her big thing, the thing that her breakout performance. And then she became Carol Lindley. But there was another model, a guy named Jake Brackman, who wrote songs with Carly Simon. He wrote You're So Vain, and I think he wrote Anticipation, a couple of things like that. And he was a writer for The New Yorker after that. So, and he was a charming chub, I believe.
Oh, that's nice.
What were you going to say, sweetheart?
The first thing I ever did on camera was a public service spot for WTTW in Chicago, the PBS station. And it was the early 70s, so everything was very, kumbaya, and we all love each other and all that sort of thing. And it was this sort of Benetton ad of kids. And my friend Kyle Hefner was in this as well. That's how we first met. But the dialogue was as such. It's like, gee, we're all friends. And, we're all different. And then the black kid would say, well, if you're the only black kid in your neighborhood, and the white kid would say, well, if you're the only white kid in your neighborhood, and then sort of a nerdy kid would say, well, if you're the only smart kid in your neighborhood, and if you're the only Chicano in your neighborhood. And when they got to me, guess what it was?
Shiksa.
No. If you're this is so culturally sensitive.
Right.
If you're the only rich kid in your neighborhood.
Oh, that's funny.
My God.
Wow.
You just can't do nothing anymore.
Yes. You see what they're really saying, boys and girls?
Right. She's the rich Jewish girl in the neighborhood.
Oh.
I was there then. That's when I was at the Trib in the early 70s. I wish I remembered that. I wish I could have written a column about that.
Oh, it's so funny.
Now, Shelly, you were going to Northwestern, right?
Yes.
You went to North. Oh, that's where.
This was long before that. I did that silly thing.
Right, but Northwestern, I mean, is famous for talented people. I mean, Paul.
Oh,
Lynch.
yeah.
Do you remember? When I did the Paul Lynch show, what happened was we talked about Northwestern, and in his drama class, it was Cloris Leachman,
Charlotte Ray.
Pardon?
Charlotte Ray,
Patricia Neal, Charlton Heston. And I mean, it was hysterical. And God rest her soul, Cloris was telling me how the classes were. But back to Northwestern and talking about great people and getting discovered. How did Gary Marshall find you?
That was thanks to a wonderful professor of mine named Bob Hakearney, who was friends with Gary. And Gary was a very proud alum, and he gave a boatload of money to the school, and he built a dance studio in honor of his mother and a TV studio. And he would come, thanks to Bob, every year. And this was the first time he'd ever come to campus. And I was invited to be in some seminars and things with him. And at the time I was doing, I had written a comedy review that was a feminist comedy review called, wait for it, Broadside.
Broadside.
I was 18. Give me a break. And it was radical because at Second City it was always like 8 guys and 2 girls or something.
Right.
And we had 4 and 4. And one of our cast members was Ira Glass, who is now Mr. National Public Radio. But he came to see that, and he liked me, and he spent some time with me, and I was invited into some TV writing seminars with him. And then I wrote another play with a wonderful, dear friend who is no longer on this earth, named Jerry Hazelmeyer, which was sort of Sex in the City long before Sex in the City. It was just sort of 4 young girls living their lives, which in those days was radical. And Gary came to see it, and he liked it, and he called me, and he said, move to California. I'm putting you on my staff.
And that was it. That was the beginning of everything. My favorite quote on your bio is from Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney writes, I really liked what you wrote. Very good. Paul McCartney. That's words.
It was nice because he had read something of mine, and it was backstage at the Hollywood Bowl, and Jane Fonda's there, and Samuel Jackson, and Brian Wilson, who kept wandering around and kept asking me where the bathroom was. Right. 5 times he asked me if I could tell him where the bathroom was, and finally, I said, Brian, sorry, I don't know. I said, there's a potted plant over there if it helps you. But I had written with Denny Sywell, who was the first musician Paul hired after he left the Beatles. Wonderful story about how they got together and sort of pre-Wings and Wings, and this tour they did, which was sort of this Partridge Family tour that is possibly the only part of Paul's career that hasn't been dissected to death. And we wrote this great article about it that we're looking to get published if anyone out there wants to publish it. And Paul, of course, had to read it because we didn't want him, to be upset. And when he met me, I could see that it was sort of, here's another person I have to be nice to. And then he was told that I'd written that story, and he said, I really liked that. And it was like, a Beatle likes me, he likes me. So it was just, I suddenly was like 5 years old again and jumping up and down in front of the Ed Sullivan Show. So that was fun.
Now, you both have done like so much and worked with so many of the greats, both of you. But is there any, I'm going to ask you both the same question. Is there any particular crazy, wacky, out there moment that you remember the most from your career? It's something just outlandish that nobody would probably believe, but it was probably the craziest thing that ever happened to you in show business. Shelley?
I wouldn't know where to begin. I wouldn't, although I do have a Paul McCartney story. I will just because I never tell this, but because it's a little sticky. But Denny Sywell was in Bill Quaitman's band in Chicago.
Yes.
That's how I got to know him. Yeah. But I've worked with Bette Midler, since the Jurassic period. And in 1973, she played the Palace, and it was a huge watershed engagement, sold out, everybody's crazy. And Paul and Linda McCartney came, and they came backstage, and I was with her, and they invited us to dinner at Linda's brother's apartment, Lee Eastman. And this was right when the whole thing, that if you played the record backwards, it said, Paul is dead, Paul is dead. So, and we were sitting there at dinner, and he was telling a story, and he said, and he was making it up, right, as he was going along, and he said, how about that? And we were all kind of like, wow, that's incredible. He looked at me, he said, I just made that up. I said, I made it up. I said, and you believed it. And I said, yes, but I also believe you're dead. And that was kind of the beginning of not a friendship, but just like correspondence every now and again. But many years went by, and we didn't see each other and all that. And then one year he was nominated for an Oscar for writing a song. I don't even remember what it was.
Live and Let Die.
The what?
Live and Let Die.
Well, no, it was after that. It was later than that. Okay. Where he was on the show for some reason. But I remember, and I'll tell you that's later. I was writing the show, and I was backstage, and I hear from across the stage, there's this person coming at me. He's going, Bruce, with his arms out. I'm looking at Paul McCartney, and everybody around me is kind of going, he knows Paul McCartney. He knows this guy. Who is? And because I hugs it. It's been so long. And I said, I'm kidding. I said, I'm stunned because we hadn't had any communication. I said, I'm stunned you remember me. He said, how can I not remember you? I mean, I remember having dinner with you 100 years ago, but now you're so fucking famous.
That is so funny.
I kind of like, this is like I'm being punked. This is really from the Paul McCartney Lookalike Museum that they brought in.
Right.
So I thought, and then we had a big laugh, and then he was nominated, I think, for something. But Randy Newman was nominated for like the 14th time, and he won.
All right.
And he said, you know, I've never been to this thing, and I think he'd won. I think "Let It Be" won a song Oscar, maybe.
Won a Grammy.
The what?
Won a Grammys.
Well, okay, but was it nominated for something for Oscars? Anyway, he says, I finally show up at this thing, and I have to come here the year Randy Newman's going to win. And of course, Randy won. So it was, and I can't remember what it was, but it was obviously anyway. But it was all about me because I'm so fucking famous.
But he knows you. That's what matters here.
There you go.
He knows me. And I guess, you know, over the years he'd come across me without my knowledge.
You know, I used to work. I when I was getting started as years and years ago, I worked with Jackie Vernon for 6 weeks.
Oh wow!
You know, here we are. Here we are coming out of the Holland Tunnel. And when I first got to LA in '79, he invited me to his home to watch Frosty the fucking Snowman with him and his family. But he told a joke.
Like a code for something.
I know, but he
brought the Coke.
But he told this joke.
Cat. Yes.
But he told this joke that was very similar to what you were talking about. It was like, I don't know who that person is, but that person is, he was talking about the Pope or something, and I can't remember this joke. And it was a joke that he told about being famous. And it was like, I don't know who that asshole is, but that's Jackie Vernon. And I can't, it's driving me.
That's his guys. You know, that's the first time I saw Bette. She was opening for him at Mr. Kelly's.
Get out of here.
I had never seen her on stage. And she hadn't seen her anywhere. I mean, she hadn't been anywhere basically, and it was an audience of people who were there for Jackie Vernon. You know, when I was a kid, I was unwanted. Now I'm wanted in 13 states. Yeah. And they didn't know what to make of her, but she was.
There's a documentary about Mr. Kelly's that just came out that I'm dying to see. Yeah. My sister's calling in the other room, so we'll ignore that. But there's a big documentary that aired in Chicago last week.
I'm in it. I'm in it.
I think, and Bette must be in it.
No, she's not. She's not in it. Well, there's footage of her, but she's not in it. I mean, she didn't sit down for an interview for it.
Mm-hmm. Where can we see it?
You know, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to see it.
In the fall, it'll be released nationally.
Oh, in the fall.
The first professional audition I ever had was I was 12 years old, and I went to an open call at Mr. Kelly's for a sort of Sex and Jesus musical. I sang "Stony End" by Nero.
Didn't Barbara Streisand do a song called "Stony End"?
He had an album called "Stony End." That was John Peters saying you have to hip up.
Right.
You're singing songs my mother would sing.
But the people behind the table watching the audition, it was totally Springtime for Hitler. Except this little girl, and everyone backstage is like, looks like the mamas and the papas, you know, and they're smoking dope. And I'm like, again, I'm sort of Dainty June singing this song, and they're all like, I didn't get the part.
I met you, Shelly, for the first time. We were friends on Facebook, but I met you the first time when I was hosting "Don't Tell Mamas," that ill-fated place on Santa Monica Boulevard that they had the stage in the corner, but the audience was separated by the freaking bar.
And the sports bar part while the show's going on, which was
right. So what was you worked with like Lily and Steve Colbert, Steve Martin. What is the craziest thing that ever happened to you?
Oh Lord. Well, only because we're talking Beatles stuff. Ringo had a good line. I was with Denny Sywell and his wife, and we ran into Ringo, and he introduced me to him, and he said, "This is Shelly. She's worked with Yoko." And Ringo looked at me and he goes, "Well, we've all sinned."
We've all sinned. Too much fun. So listen, you guys have been absolutely wonderful to take the time out to help me out and get this show going. You're my second show in the YouTube series that we're starting. And from the bottom of my heart, I totally appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. And the fact that you didn't have to wear pants. So that's awesome. And then you wore the Endora, my hairdo sweatshirt there, t-shirt. I love it.
I was going to give you a standing ovation after the hairspray. I would have seen my storage space, so nobody.
That would be it. No, it cannot be done.
So Bruce, you're not gonna do anything. You're not gonna be doing anything till November. And
No, not. I don't think so. Not live. I mean, I'm not performing. Not perform. Have
Shelley,
nothing to plug.
I'm going to be.
November 27th in Fort Lauderdale.
Fort
I know
I'm
Fort
gonna,
Lauderdale's watching, so come on down to the savor.
will anyone be vaccinated at that show?
yeah. So
Well, anyone. That will be the question.
you're going to London.
Are they allowed to vaccinate you in Florida? I've lost
I don't
track.
think, yeah, now you go to prison if you get a vaccine or something. I'm going to be, I've actually been asked to be in some shows, some cabaret shows in London, as opposed to, I bring my own show in there a lot, but it's nice to be asked. I'm very excited.
How cool.
And then I work with a wonderful group of women singers, just dear friends of mine. We're called the Chickies. And we'll be putting together another concert. We do concerts to raise money for the Actors Fund.
That's like you and Eileen and Karen Morrow and
Nancy Dussault, Julie Garnier, Val Perry, Joan Ryan, Lisa Roman. Oh my God, Donna Meller, Eileen Barnett. Amazing women.
Well, I'm sure Harlan will be getting in touch with me now that he goes, thank God you're back, Esther. We can do interviews again. I mean, it's been so crazy. What I'm planning on doing is bringing cameras and doing once a month at the Hollywood Museum.
Oh, that's fun.
So that'll be kind of fun. But let me tell you, it has been a blast having the two of you on here. I really thank you once again. Do you love this? Hey, everybody's going to turn on and go, what the hell is going on that?
Average white band karaoke track.
Right?
Average white people is sort of the who we are.
I said, I want something jumpy and fun. So I downloaded the karaoke track, which is fun. Once again, everybody, a big thank you to the fabulous Bruce Vilanch and the gorgeous Shelly Goldstein. Until next time, remember you can watch this on YouTube, Facebook, God knows anywhere you want. But we'll be back next week with a big show. We got the Sorted Lives coming up. The Sorted Lives reunion with Del Shores and a whole bunch of surprise guests.
Snapping my rubber bands.
There you go.
And that.
You're Jeffrey Toobin. Here we go. Out of here, everybody. Thank you all so much. Bye-bye. Hold on.